Good morning, Ananda. I am Dr. Ramya Swetha, Assistant Professor, Department of Civil Engineering. Today, we are going to discuss in our first module, that is Introduction to Ground Modification. So, in this ground modification, we already understand as a part of ground improvement techniques, what are the various techniques which are going to involve, how we are classified their types, based on the requirement, based on the we calculate for modifications by mechanical modifications, hydraulic modifications, physical modifications, chemical modifications of the ground, and also thermal modification. Like this, we are categorize the ground modifications. In that, what are the various techniques which are going to involve, we are going to introduce in these ground modifications. Oh, in this we are understanding what are the various parameters basically involved in this ground modification. We understand outline of the ground modifications, what are the categories, which type of categorized, we categorized these modifications based on the parameters, based on some characteristics. We categorize these ground modification. In this particular module, we understand what are those categories. In that categories, which type of techniques are implemented as a part of soil modification. So these are the things which we understand in our ground modification. So in this module 1, Introduction to Ground Modification, we understand the various types, importance of the ground modifications, what are the applications we are going to implement all these techniques, like that we understand as a outline. In detail, based on the category, mechanical modification, what are the different types, how we are implementing the process, any type of installation is there, what is the step-by-step procedure for installation techniques, and how it is helpful for these, and which kind of and suitability of that particular technique under various conditions, applications, in which way we apply this particular technique, it is gives the best results, on what circumstances, based on the scenarios, situations and requirement of the projects, and also based on the desired properties of the soil. Like this, we understand the categorized things from module 2. In this module 1, already in previous lectures we completed our lecture part. In this particular lecture, we are talking about how we are getting the questions as per examination point of view, which there is a chance how they will ask the questions in this particular module. In this Introduction to Ground Modification, the first thing we are going to define the ground modification and how importance it is in civil engineering projects point of view. Such type of question may frame like this, that is, define ground modification and explain its importance in civil engineering projects. So it may, this sort of how we are analyzing those lectures based on all the in the Introduction to Ground Modification module lectures, whatever we discussed, how to implement, how to write in our examinations, and also how we are going to assess those modules in examination point of view, and how it is helpful for us for getting better understanding about the lectures and also the particular module Introduction to Ground Modification. We are going to how to write, we will understand in this particular session. So in this, if we get this kind of define ground modification and explain its importance in civil engineering, first thing we have to what we understand ground modifications. In that ground modification, what are the technical terminology, especially as a as a role of civil engineer, which kind of terminology we may use, and what kind of equipment we are using, and it depends upon the question. Now we are confined for the ground modification definition. So what is meant by, what you understand from the lectures, what is meant by ground modification, how we may write in your own words also. Some technical terminology is very important to reflect your knowledge in your examination paper. So in this ground modification, it is also a ground improvement. It is nothing but the ground improvement. It refers to a set of techniques, different kinds of techniques used to enhance the properties of soil. So in this enhance we may use, it comes under grammar. We may use it increases or decreases, or sometimes it depends upon. So this, but coming to the properties of soil, see, soil is important terminology. It is a technical terminology. So in this properties of soil, to make it suitable for construction, where we are using this, what is the purpose of this ground modification? So here the properties of soils, and also it is suitable as per the project requirement or construction work, whatever it may be. Project also the term which may use for this definition explanation whenever we are writing in your own words also. These kind of terminology in this desired properties of soil, or reach the required properties of soil, enhance the soil properties, whatever it may be the term before the soil properties, it may be enhance, or we are going to replace, or required. We may use required term also, and also desired. These are the various alternatives are there for this point. But coming to the properties of soil, the characteristics of soils, whatever it may be, this is the technical term which we must use in our definition. So using technical terms is important whenever we are in professional courses. So in this particular definition of the ground modification, soil properties and desired construction or project purpose, the suitability is the important technical terminology. In this, what kind of methods we are using, this is the additional information, is also reflects the how much knowledge you have in that particular question. So in this method includes to increase soil strength, reduce compressibility, improve drainage and control groundwater. It may be some other terms also there, it may include, or you may replace those terms, no issue. Stability, like that, water content, so moisture content, so complete replacement of soil. So some sort of different types of words we used already in our complete ground improvement techniques lectures. So we may use relevant terminology. But using terminology is the very most important point. So in this, ground modification is also a ground improvement, refers to a set of techniques, or otherwise we may use some techniques like that also. But techniques is also one more terminology. Some set of techniques, or it may be some sort of techniques, or we are using techniques, whatever it may be. But the technique is the terminology we have to use in this explanation. So use it to enhance the properties of soil to make it suitable for construction purpose. This includes, methods include soil strength, reduce compressibility, improve drainage and control groundwater, whatever it. So now, importance in civil engineering projects. In civil engineering perceptive, based on that perception, based on as a civil engineer, we have to understand the ground modification importance. It may, the ground modifications may imply in different ways. It may important in several fields. But as a civil engineering point of view, we have to understand and we have to reflect the answer in civil engineering point of view. In that, ensures the stability and longevity of structures such as buildings, highways, railways, dams and airports, tunnels. So these are the various different types of projects or construction works where this kind of ground modification is going to involve. It may involve in all perception of whatever the construction we are doing. This ground modification is important. But which type of property we are going to enhancing or which type of property we are going to modify for this soil, for which condition. So that is very important to understand and reflect the answer into the question paper, answer sheet. So in this we have to understand in which point of view that element, structural element or project element or condition, which element is going to reflect the which kind of modification is required. As a soil point of view, soil modification is required. Based on that, which type of property is going to highlight. That is important. So stability and longevity and also strength, settlement, so many are there in terms of soil point of view. So in terms of construction point of view, in both together, which soil property is going to improve or which one is going to modified. In terms of improvement is means sometimes it may reduce compressibility. That means it gives the some strength property to the structure. So like that we have to understand. It means if we are going to reduce, if we reduce the moisture content, means it helpful to the construction work. It means not we are reducing the soil property. The reducing of the soil property of that particular condition, particular scenario, it helps strengthen to the construction work. Like that we have to understand. That means we improve means also whatever the changes we are doing in that soil properties, so that may enhance the strength of the project. So it prevents excessive settlement and potential structural failures. So whenever structures are going to failure, if we may done soil modifications, it may strengthen such type of also very important. It prevents the excessive settlement and potential structural failures. Whenever the settlement is going to done because of the, in most of the cases, because of the soil characteristics of that particular soil parameters or soil parameters. Soil parameters of that particular location where we constructed the construction work. So these settlements lead to the structural failure. So in those particular cases, we are going to, in that areas, it means those areas are having with weak or compressible soils. So in that particular region, we are going to improve the soil properties using these ground modification techniques. In these ground modification techniques. So like that we have to understand the soil type and soil behavior using some tests, and we are adopting some techniques for getting the desired properties of soil for the required construction work. So in these facilities construction in challenging soil conditions, making otherwise unavoidable sites where for the development. In situations, we may choose another site for construction work. In some of the situation, the demand is like that. There is no unavoidable situations. We are going to construct there only with so many challenges are there. As a civil engineer, we have to understand first what are the soil desired properties for that construction work. It means first we have to understand the what type of soil it is, what kind of techniques may helpful for getting the desired properties of the soil. And also, it means it reduces the risk of foundation problems. So in soil point of view, whenever based on the sometimes groundwater table and remaining things are may affect the foundations. So these foundation problems, landslides and other geotechnical issues leading after and more cost effective construction projects. In some of the situations it may cause, it's not may economical, but safety point of view, those projects may demand. So it depends upon the case to case, study to study, which type of construction we are doing, what kind of desired properties we are required. These are the things we have to understand and analyze. So as a civil engineer, we have to ensure the stability and longevity of the structure, such as buildings, highways, dams and airports, to prevent excessive settlement and potential structural failures, especially in areas with weak or compressible soils, facilitates construction in challenging soil conditions, and some kind of situations it is unavoidable situations are there. In weak soil conditions also we may construct construction things. This kind of ground implementation, ground modification knowledge is very helpful. It is important. And also reduce the risk of foundation problems, landslides and also some other various geotechnical issues in retaining walls point of view, tunneling point of view, mining. So mining, it's not completely as a civil engineer point of view. It is also some sort of, we have to understand. Finally, we are going to lead safer and more cost effective construction. That is the main motto of the civil engineer. So these ground modifications are also helpful for this safer and most cost effective construction projects. So we have to use such kind of technical words for getting strength. So many things are here missing. It may strength, it increases the strength of this strength, and also avoid moisture content. That is also helpful in some cases. So such type of things are there. So we may use those kind. These are the some sort of the way of expressing. This is the thing we for understanding point of view. So once you understand this based on the lectures and web resources already we provided based on the textbooks we refer. So according to that we may write and different number of importance also. So that like this we have to represent whatever the question they ask. So we have to represent like this. Understand the question and we are going to represent as per the requirement. It may ask in 2 marks, the representation is different. For 7 marks, the representation is different. But using technical terminology is most important parameter in your examinations. Especially like this, different types of techniques are available. So technical terminology is very important. Now move on to the list. Here the question is list and briefly describe 3 situations where ground modification is required. Such type of questions may ask. So what type of the techniques in these situations? Situations it may 3 or 2, 4, whatever it may be. Situations where ground modification is required. So first, whenever the complexity is there, we have to address those kind of situations in our examination. So the first thing, whenever the weak soils are compressive soils and also the high groundwater level in some special construction requirements. We may use different kinds of situations. Heavy landslides may happen, very loose soil and different kinds of fluctuations, environmental, the climatic conditions are very fluctual. So different kinds of situations are also there. I consider these 3, you may consider in another way also. So such type of situations first we have to understand. So here I consider this weak and compressible soil because weak soils are giving more challenges as a civil engineer for the construction work. So that too, in some of the situations as a civil engineer, practically we have to understand that particular local and the country scenarios, that particular regions or that particular region scenarios, beliefs, so many things are going to be hurdles. So many barriers are there. So as a civil engineer, we have to understand that particular locality, that particular wherever we are going to do some such construction, it's difficult. it is easy to understand how the soil behaves and understanding, but practically that particular region things, adopting those things is very, very important. Then only we are going to give the better construction works. So any legal problems are there in that particular site. So those are all the parameters we have to consider. So environmental concerns. So in some of the situations, any dam or project we are going to take up, we must confine that particular site only. That particular site have n different number of barriers for constructing that particular project. Any other altar is also there. It may not be permittable because of the so many issues. So first we have to understand the practical things are also in that particular locality. So in these, in weak soils is very, very important thing. So in these weak soils, it may mostly soft soils and loose soils are there, loose sands. So in that such type of areas, in that soft clays or loose sands need ground improvement to prevent. In that particular, what will happen the most of the cases, excessive settlement and also the structural stability. So here they are asking the situations only, list out only. They are not asking about what are the preventions, how we solve that problem. That is not going to ask in this. So we have to understand the question and we have to confine that particular question only. No more. If you know also, no need to give the more explanation. So please confine the question and understand the question and give your answers. So in this weak or compressible soils, areas with soft clays or loose sands need ground improvement to prevent excessive settlement. So in weak soils, what we face as a soil parameter point of view, what is the problem and what kind, based on the technique what we get, that is enough. So here based on the soil we are getting this excessive settlement and ensure the structural stability. So using technique we are going to get the structural stability. That's it. Please be confined. We are listing. First we have to list, not like this. First we have to list that and briefly describe one by one. First list out, put a heading and list out. Now again each and everyone like this, put a heading and write about that particular issue. If you want, you more elaborate, but not go into which type of technique we are using. That is not required for this question. So in high groundwater level. So whenever the construction sites with high groundwater levels require technicals like dewatering, drainage to manage water effectively and create stable foundation. So in high groundwater level, what are the problems we are facing? Using which type of technique? It may mention or not, may not, it's no issue. And finally, manage effectively and create a stable foundation. So this is the thing. So like that we have to understand and we are going to confine. If it is mentioned also, no issue. But in detail what we are doing step by step procedure in dewatering, drainaging, what are the types, that is not necessary in this particular question. So we are going to list out and we are write about the whatever the problem we are facing, what is the solution for this using this ground improvement technique. That's it. Because of the question demands that till that point only we are confined. That's it. Now in this high groundwater level, we are going to construction sites with high groundwater levels require techniques like dewatering and drainage to manage water effectively to create a stable foundation. This kind of terminology is important in any question. Now move on to the special construction requirements. In some of the projects that need reduced settlement, increased bearing capacity or improved slope stability, use ground modification techniques to meet specific engineering demands. If you want, you may more specific about which type of engineering demands, what kind of technique like dewatering and drainage, how we mention here also we may mention. Such type of explanation is required for these kind of questions. we are going to list, and each one we are going to briefly explain that situation. So how the situation is there, based on which type of technique we are lead to that required thing, whatever the property, excessive settlement and structural stability using such type of any may compaction, whatever it may be. It depends upon the condition in detail. It is not a case study, no need to mention all the things. So that's it. Now high groundwater level. It means we are going to reduce the water content using such type of techniques. Those are like dewatering and drainage system. And it's create stable foundation. Like that we are going to write out what are the various modifications which we are going to require. And the next question, compare and contrast static and dynamic compaction methods. So in this they are asking compare and contrast. What are the things we are going to compare, parameters also, and in that parameters what are the different things are there in these, both the methods are also, we may explain, it's in your choice, we may explain like this, otherwise may divide static compaction and deep compaction like this also. We may compare like this after that. It's up to you how we are representing this question. So now we are going to compare. So static compaction, first we understand the static compaction, dynamic compaction comparisons. So uses steady pressure applied through heavy weights to compress the soil. So compaction is nothing but the compress the soil only in both the situation. But here we use steady pressure applied through heavy weights. Here suitable for Koju soils and small areas. This is suitable on which situations? In this, what are the various methods which are going to include? We are using rollers, plates and other heavy machinery to apply the pressure. Move on to the dynamic compaction. Involves dropping heavy weights from heights onto the ground to create shock waves that densify the soil. Here also we are compressing, that is nothing but the densify the soil. So using this kind of terminology is important in our explanations. So we are using densifying the soil. It is effective. Already we talked about where it is effective. Here it is effective for granular and large areas. It is for small and Koju. It is for granular and large areas. This methods includes rollers, plates and other heavy machinery to pressure. It is typically performed using cranes and heavy pounders. According to this, we may understand one more point. I am not going each and every point, just for understanding purpose only I am giving some points. You may have different points, you please write out. In this cost point of view also we may write out. Some other point of view. It's different, but the two different cases, but even though as per the question we are going to answer the question. So in this, typically performed using cranes and heavy prongs. This is cost compared to the dynamic compaction. It less cost, it more cost, but it covers the large area. These are the parameters we may consider. So now contrast. In this contrast, static compaction applies continuous pressure while dynamic compaction use impact energy. So it is a continuous pressure we are applying. In this static compaction, in dynamic compaction we uses the impact, so the shock waves. So densify, shock waves, impact energy, continuous pressure, these are the terminology we must use this kind of question. So using terminology is very, very important. In static is more suitable for Koju soils, already it is there. We are writing like this. Dynamic is best for granular soils. Which type of it is suitable? Now, dynamic compaction can achieve greater depths of improvement compared to the static compaction. So, it is static compaction can achieve greater depths whenever the depth is more. So, this kind is improvement compared to the static compaction. Like this, few more are there. So, according to your understanding, please write it and also use the exact terminology for this. Now, what are the primary goals of ground modification and why they are important in civil engineering? This is another type. Previously also, what is the importance and why they are important? Please make sure explain importance here. Why? Both are same, but little the way of how we represent is the difference is there. So how we are representing these two same kind of questions, but they are asking in different ways. We have understand the thing. So here in first question, define ground modification and explain its importance in civil engineering projects. Explain importance. Here, why are they important? So based on the question, we are going to answer. So the first thing, what are the primary goals of ground modification? So what are they? Increase soil strength, reduce compressibility, control seepage, so many are there. As per our technical terminology we use, we may write whatever are there, you have to use. So in this, so increased soil strength, reducing compressibility, controlling seepage, mitigation liquid, improved road bearing capacity. And like this we are understanding. In that only we are writing the why they are crucial. So the main objectives are there. Actually, in this increasing soil strength, this is the one of the main objective. Why it is crucial in civil engineering means it is essential for supporting loads from structures such as buildings, bridges, roads. Weak soils can lead to excessive settlement or failure. So because of this, it is crucial for civil engineering projects. We understand this ground improvement techniques. Like this, we are expressing our answer. So previously, that is difference. So like this, we have to understand the main objectives, that is increasing the soil strength. And why it is essential means, in this point of view, we are answering. Essential for supporting loads from structures such as building. These are all civil engineering projects. Now, weak soil can lead to the excessive settlement. Why? Because of this weak soil, it can lead to the... So, because of that thing, we are using this ground modification as a civil engineer. So, like this, we are going to understand the question, then we are answer like that. So, we may elaborately, we may explain after this. So, it is what are the various things are there in type of increasing of soil strength point of view. We may write 2 or 4 points. It depends upon the how many marks are allocated for this question. So now the next one is reducing compressibility. In this reducing compressibility, it helps minimize the settlement under loads. Why? Excessive settlement can lead to structural issues like cracking and tilting. So why it is crucial? Excessive settlement. For this, we are choose this ground modification for minimize the settlement under loads. Why excessive settlement? What is because of this? Cracking and tilting because of excessive settlement. This is the crucial for civil engineering. So for this, we are choose this ground improvement technique. It is going to minimize the like this. This is the one of the ground improvement object, that is reducing compressibility. Like this, we have to analyze and we are going to write the answer as per the question. So we may enlarge again. This is also reducing compressibility. So many different types are there. So according to that, we are going to analyze. So in this, like this, we have to understand how to represent. What we know is how much important what we know. Similarly, same kind of impact is there how we are representing in our examination. That is also very important. Now, controlling seepage. Controlling seepage. So it prevents. So controlling seepage is the one of the objective. So it prevents water from undermining soil stability. This excessive seepage can lead to the erosion and weakening of the soil, potentially causing landslides or foundation failures. These landslide foundations are civil engineering concerns. Because of this, the erosion and weakening of the soil. Already soil is there, it has some properties. Because of this seepage, it is going to reduce their properties and it is going to weaken the soil. It means it affects the foundation failures. This is the concern of civil engineering. So because of that, using this one of the ground modification technique, it prevents water from undermining soil stability. So this is like this, we are understanding each and every. I explained some of the parameters. You may write as per your understanding and you explain like this. So based on the question, we are going to express. So in mitigating liquefaction. So in liquefaction, where saturated soils lose strength during seismic events can cause significant damage. So ground modification technique increase soil density and strength, mitigating the risk. So this technique, soil density and this. So based on the seismic event, this is crucial for civil engineering. Using that technique, it is going to reduce the risk. So like this, we are going to analyze. So improving soil bearing capacity is also one more objective of the ground modification. In this, improved load bearing capacity. It is enhanced the load bearing capacity, reduce need for deep foundation. Whenever the deep foundation, lowering construction cost and improving safety. This is also the civil engineering concern. So using ground modification technique, we are going to enhance the load bearing capacity. So we may elaborate this one also. Right in your word, these are some of the objectives. They are going to ensure the soil properties are suitable for construction, improving the safety, durability and longevity of the civil engineering projects. So according to the situation, which type of technique we are using, which type of technique, not exactly objective, which type of technique you are using, that is the objective of the ground modification. These are all the objectives. So like this, we are going to analyze the question. First we understand the question, then represent the question in our as per the knowledge. Now, how can different types can be identified in situ and in the laboratory? In situ is nothing but the on-site and in the laboratory. So in situ identification, visual inspection, standard penetration test, cone penetration test, and shear test are the on-site identification tests. Coming to the laboratory test, grain size analysis, Atterberg limits test, compaction test, unconfined compression test, triaxial shear test. So now coming to these, how can different soil types can be identified and in the laboratory? Here I am identified as per the question. These kind of questions based on the marks also we are going to explain. So it depends upon the sometimes. So it is less marks questions we may analyze like this. It is in 7 marks or it depends upon the marks also we may elaborate. So but based on the question, how can different soil types can be identified? So based on the visual inspection on site, observing soils, color, texture and structure, and also using the standard penetration test SPT test, measuring soil resistance to penetration to estimate density and strength, and cone penetration test CPT, evaluating soil properties by measuring resistance to cone pushed into the ground. And next one is the van shear test, assessing shear strength of Kojo soils. So like this, these are the various types of identification in on-site test we are understanding. So if it is more, we little explain about the various, what is the test and what we find out the process, and it depends upon the marks. Now, laboratory test, grain size analysis, determining the distribution of soil particles using sieves or sedimentation methods. Atterberg limit test, measuring the plasticity of fine-grained soils by determining their liquid and plastic limits. In compaction test, establishing the relationship between the moisture content and dry density for compaction. Unconfined compression test, determine the compression test strength of the Kojo soils. And also triaxial shear test, evaluating the shear strength and stress strain behavior of soils under controlled conditions. Like this, we are going to analyze the test. How are different soil types identified in the field? It is also same as previously what we understand, but here some little is there. Soil sample, how we are understanding soil different types in the field. On-site tests are different now here. Visual inspections, manual test, soil sampling, field tests. Observing color, texture, structure of the soil samples. Simple tests like rolling soil in hand to assess plasticity and cohesion. Soil sampling, collecting samples for more detailed laboratory analysis. Field test, conducting like SPT, standard penetration, cone penetration test to determine the soil properties and also classify the soil types. It is depends upon the how the question is. So what are the laboratory tests used to characterizing the problematic soils? So same previously, but this is characterizing the characteristics point of view. They are asking only for laboratory tests. Now, based on the grain size analysis, Atterberg limits test, Proctor compaction test, unconfined compression test, triaxial shear test, consolidation test. These are the various laboratory tests which are involved in problematic soil. So, to determine the distribution of the soil particles, in this Atterberg limit test to assess the plasticity and liquidity of the soils, to determine the optimal moisture content and maximum dye density, unconfined compression test to measure the unconfined compressive strength of soil, in triaxial shear test to evaluate the shear strength under controlled conditions, consolidation test to assess the rate and magnitude of soil consolidation. What? He asked what? That's why what is what we are write all the tests. If you are there, we may add those also. Now, use it to which type of character? That's why they asked it. So, here we mention the test. What is it is going to do? It may more elaborate means each and every test we are going to elaborate which type of equipment we are using, what are the step-by-step procedure which are involved in these tests, we may explain like that. Like this we are going to analyze, depends upon the question, we are going to analyze and write like that. And also depends upon the how elaborate it is, it depends upon the how many marks are going to allotted for that question. So like that you have to understand all the things and write about this module 1. So this is for the module 1 introduction to ground modification. So we have to understand this, and in next module how we are going to analyze the questions and everything we will see in our module 2 in our next lecture. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.